Method is the soul of business. Old saying. I am a businessman. I am a methodical man. Method is the thing, after all. But there are no people I more heartily despise than your eccentric fools who prate about method without understanding it, attending strictly to its letter and violating its spirit. These fellows are always doing the most out-of-the-way things in what they call an orderly manner. Now here, I conceive, is a positive paradox. True method appertains to the ordinary and the obvious alone, and cannot be applied to the outre. What definite idea can a body attach to such expressions as methodical jack-a-dandy or a systematical will-o'-the-wisp? My notions upon this head might not have been so clear as they are, but for a fortunate accident which happened to me when I was a very little boy. A good-hearted old Irish nurse, whom I shall not forget in my will, took me up one day by the heels when I was making more noise than was necessary, and, swinging me round 2 or 3 times, damned my eyes for a squeaking little spalpeen, and then knocked my head into a cocked hat against the bedpost. This, I say, decided my fate, and made my fortune. A bump arose at once on my sinciput, and turned out to be as pretty an organ of order as one shall see on a summer's day. Hence that positive appetite for system and regularity which has made me the distinguished man of business that I am. If there is anything on earth I hate, it is a genius. Your geniuses are all arrant asses. The greater the genius, the greater the ass. And to this rule there is no exception whatever. Especially, you cannot make a man of business out of a genius, any more than money out of a Jew, or the best nutmegs out of pine knots. The creatures are always going off at a tangent into some fantastic employment or ridiculous speculation entirely at variance with the fitness of things, and having no business whatever to be considered as a business at all. Thus you may tell these characters immediately by the nature of their occupations. If you ever perceive a man setting up as a merchant or a manufacturer, or going into the cotton or tobacco trade, or any of those eccentric pursuits, or getting to be a dry goods dealer, or soap boiler, or something of that kind, or pretending to be a lawyer, or a blacksmith, or a physician, anything out of the usual way, you may set him down at once as a genius, and then, according to the rule of 3, he's an ass. Now, I am not in any respect a genius, but a regular businessman. My day book and ledger will evince this in a minute. They are well kept, though I say it myself, and in my general habits of accuracy and punctuality, I am not to be beat by a clock. Moreover, my occupations have always been made to chime and with the ordinary habitudes of my fellow men. To chime in with the ordinary habitudes of my fellow men. Not that I feel the least indebted upon this score to my exceedingly weak-minded parents, who, beyond doubt, would have made an errant genius of me at last, if my guardian angel had not come, in good time, to the rescue. In biography, the truth is everything, and in autobiography it is especially so. Yet I scarcely hope to be believed when I state, however solemnly, that my poor father put me, when I was about 15 years of age, into a counting-house of what he termed a respectable hardware and commission merchant doing a capital bit of business, a capital bit of fiddlestick. However, the consequence of this folly was that in 2 or 3 days I had to be sent home to my button-headed family in a high state of fever, and with a most violent and dangerous pain in the sinciput, all round about my organ of order. It was nearly a gone case with me then, just touch and go, for 6 weeks, the physicians giving me up and all that sort of thing. But although I suffered much, I was a thankful boy in the main. I was saved from being a respectable hardware and commission merchant doing a capital bit of business, and I felt grateful to the protuberance which had been the means of my salvation, as well as to the kind-hearted female who had originally put these means within my reach. The most of boys run away from home at 10 or 12 years of age, but I waited till I was 16. I don't know that I should have gone even then if I had not happened to hear my old mother talk about setting me up on my own hook in the grocery way. The grocery way! Only think of that! I resolved to be off forthwith and try and establish myself in some decent occupation, without dancing attendance any longer upon the caprices of these eccentric old people and running the risk of being made a genius of in the end. In this project, I succeeded perfectly well at the first effort, and by the time I was fairly 18, found myself doing an extensive and profitable business in the tailor's walking advertisement line. I was enabled to discharge the onerous duties of this profession only by that rigid adherence to system which formed the leading feature of my mind. A scrupulous method characterized my actions as well as my accounts. In my case, it was method, not money, which made the man, at least all of him that was not made by the tailor whom I served. At 9 every morning I called upon that individual for the clothes of the day. 10 o'clock found me in some fashionable promenade or other place of public amusement. The precise regularity with which I turned my handsome person about, so as to bring successively into view every portion of the suit upon my back, was the admiration of all the knowing men in the trade. Noon never passed without my bringing home a customer to the house of my employers, Messrs. Cut and Come Again. I say this proudly, but with tears in my eyes, for the firm proved themselves the basest of ingrates. The little account about which we quarrelled and finally parted cannot in any item be thought overcharged by gentlemen really conversant in the nature of the business. Upon this point, however, I feel a degree of proud satisfaction in permitting the reader to judge for himself. My bill ran thus: Messrs. Cut and Come Again, merchant tailors, to Peter Prophet, walking advertiser. July 10th, to promenade as usual, and customer brought home 25 cents, or $25. July 11th, to ditto, 25. July 12th, to one lie, second class, damaged black cloth sold for invisible green, 25. July 30th, to one lie, first class, extra quality in size, recommending milled satinette as broadcloth, 75. July 20th, to purchasing brand new paper shirt collar or dicky to set off gray Petersham, 2. August 15th, to wearing double padded bobtail frock, thermometer 706 in the shade, 25. August 16th, standing on one leg 3 hours to show off new style strapped pants at 12.5 cents per leg per hour, 37.5. August 17th, to promenade as usual, a large customer brought fat man, 50. August 18th, to ditto, medium size, 25. August 19th, to pay to ditto, small man and bad pay, 6, for $2.95.5 total. The item chiefly disputed in this bill was the very moderate charge of 2 pennies for the dicky. Upon my word of honor, this was not an unreasonable price for that dicky. It was one of the cleanest and prettiest little dickies I ever saw, and I have good reason to believe that it effected the sale of 3 Petershams. The elder partner of the firm, however, would allow me only 1 penny of the charge, and took it upon himself to show in what manner 4 of the same sized conveniences could be got out of 1 sheet of foolscap. But it is needless to say that I stood upon the principle of the thing. Business is business, and should be done in a business way. There was no system whatever in swindling me out of a penny. A clear fraud of 50%. No method in any respect. I left at once the employment of Messrs. Cut and Come Again, and set up in the eyesore line by myself. One of the most lucrative, respectable, and independent of the ordinary occupations. My strict integrity, economy, and rigorous business habits here again came into play. I found myself driving a flourishing trade, and soon became a marked man upon 'change. The truth is, I never dabbled in flashy matters, but jogged on in the good old sober routine of the calling, a calling in which I should no doubt have remained to the present hour, but for a little accident which happened to me in the prosecution of one of the usual business operations of the profession. Whenever a rich old hunks or prodigal heir or bankrupt corporation gets into the notion of putting up a palace, there is no such thing in the world as stopping either of them, and this every intelligent person knows. The fact in question is indeed the basis of the eyesore trade. As soon, therefore, as a building project is fairly afoot by one of these parties, we merchants secure a nice corner of the lot in contemplation, or a prime little situation just adjoining or right in front. This done, we wait until the palace is halfway up, and then we pay some tasty architect to run up as an ornamental mud hovel right against it, or a down east or Dutch pagoda, or a pigsty, or an ingenious little bit of fancy work, either Eskimo, Kickapoo, or Hottentot. Of course, we can't afford to take these structures down under a bonus of 500% upon the prime cost of our lot and plaster, can we? I ask the question. I ask it of businessmen. It would be irrational to suppose that we can. And yet there was a rascally corporation which asked me to do this very thing. This very thing. I did not reply to their absurd proposition, of course, but I felt it my duty to go that same night and lamp black the whole of their palace. For this the unreasonable villains clapped me into jail, and the gentlemen of the eyesore trade could not well avoid cutting my connection when I came out.